All right. Welcome to the Biz Breaks Podcast on the Cosmos Radio Network. I am your host, Kevin the Credit Crusher, along with my co-host, Nakia Neal, the financial expert. And today we have a special guest in the building, a high-powered special guest in the building, no doubt. Joel Green, and we're going to be talking to Joel about his entrepreneurial journey. Biz Breaks Podcast, you know we're here every Thursday, 1 p.m. and we have real talk with real entrepreneurs. Nakia Neal, do we not get busy in here and have this good
talk? We certainly do.
All right. Well, we got Joel here, right? Nakia, you said we have to have him. Joel, she said we have to have him. I didn't disagree. We have to have him on the show.
I appreciate it.
Yes. So, Joel, tell us who you are and how you are and why you are.
All right, that's a few loaded questions. Who is definitely loaded. I've been around the block with a number of different industries, walks of life, from pro sports. I was a professional basketball player for a little bit after college. And, that's after playing Division I ball. So that was a busy life in itself. And going over to Europe, to and from Europe, playing different countries every year. It was a lot of fun, but it took a lot of dedicated time. Beyond that, got into the entrepreneur life, which was honestly a calling. For me, that was something that I wanted to do since I was 11. And even got my business license when I was in Europe. My rookie year, when I was abroad playing in Ireland, I went and submitted and applied for my business license, got it, and came back and had to go downtown to Philly and do all the official processing and sealing and all the stuff. But I knew at some point I would be getting into the entrepreneurial side, and decided to do it sooner than later. Started a sports athletic training company called Pro Level Training, and became the CEO of that. We're just training kids locally in Philly and around Philly and in South Jersey area. And it quickly began to grow as a few kids told their friends, like, hey, we're doing different things here as opposed to what we're doing at the local pile and things like that with our trainers. And I was pushing these kids. That was the difference, really. I was pushing them in a different way, to where I called it pro level training for a reason. I wanted to give them a glimpse as to how it felt to be a pro at that moment. I don't want for you to wait to get there, because you may not get there. So here's the example of it. So I had these kids at 8 years old doing battle rope training, if you're familiar with battle ropes. And this was in 2009, 10, before battle ropes was really a popular thing in the gyms and fitness centers and things like that. So they were like, what's this? And next thing they know, they saw Steph Curry on a commercial like 2 years later doing it. And, my trainings and things began to catch fire, and we partnered with Nike Sports Camps. They caught wind, and it took off after that. Our company grew into 15 states, pretty quickly into about 7 states within about 3 years. Wow. And then 15 states over the last 10 years. We're going into the 11th year of business now. And we're in about 35 cities across the country, as well as in Canada. So, it's been a lot of determined work, a whole lot of disciplined work, and it's a team of close to 40 of us.
Okay.
It's not just me. I've founded this, but at the same time, I've helped train and groom a lot of people to replicate what I had started in other major cities. So it's a heck of a process, and it's allowed me to just appreciate life and sports from a different angle and impact. And over the last 7 years, I've been a speaker as well. So that's my love, my passion is to speak, to talk to students, to talk to adults at different organizations, just to provide some impact, some perspective. That's people have asked me, like, what do you think your specialty is? I said, it's perspective. I like to look at things from different angles that some may not see it from. I look at insecurities as a blessing. You know, a lot of improvement come as a result of insecurity. I was just talking to someone about that yesterday. And like, if I have an insecurity, I'm like, well, how can I get better and have that become a security? You know, there's different things I lean into in a different way to where I want to take something from it and extract something from it. You know, so that's me in business, that's me in life. So that's who I am in a nutshell.
Joe, what was your tipping point? You said you are, guys, to the audience, I have to apologize for the technical difficulty. We've got an echo here that I can't seem to get rid of, but we're just going to push through it. So, Joe, you're in 35 cities, 15 different states, and I would imagine you didn't start that way. So when you started, you were here in Philly, and tell us how long it took for you to get to the next city or the next state, and then what the growth track was like.
It was quicker than the norm. I'll say that only because I know comparatively how business grow. You know, I know the normal process, and it was quicker. However, I only say that because I hustled, man. Like I dove in. I realized early, even from having a few agents from playing professional basketball, I didn't realize how important networking was. Mm-hmm. So as a pro, I saw them calling these different places. My dad was kind of like an agent for me too. He's calling and mailing these things to different clubs over in Europe, South America, and abroad. And I just saw networking and how it led me to opportunities then as an athlete. So by the time I got into business, I carried the same mentality. I didn't change anything. And as soon as I started the company, I literally went into my phone. I think it was a flip phone at the time, but you know, and just said, who do I know and where are they, right? So I saw that I had a model that could be replicated elsewhere and honestly be franchised out. And I have friends in Chicago. I have friends in Minneapolis and Dallas and in Iowa, you know, in different cities over in Iowa, Cedar Rapids. And so once I got connected with Nike sports camps, I took a presentation to them. They didn't ask me to do it, but I presented a whole proposal to them and said, hey, look, I know a lot of people everywhere. Simply, I'm just kind of the bare bones of it. I know people in a lot of different places. Is it okay if I replicate what I have in Philly, New Jersey, elsewhere? The moment it gave me allowance for that, it was on. You know, that's what allowed us to grow. Like this, by the third year, we were in about four states total. But yeah, man, it took us only a few years to do that, but it was because of the networking. I didn't want to do it alone. I couldn't do it alone.
So the network was the platform, and was the connection with Nike Sports Camp the tipping point? So Malcolm Gladwell wrote a book many years ago, right?
Yeah.
Right, and he says that, you know, he's interviewing these high-powered millionaires and billionaires, and he's saying they did what they were doing. They were consistent. That was the one thing that everyone had in common, where they were consistent. But there was one thing that was the tipping point that opened the floodgates for their business. So would you say that your connection with the Nike Sports Camp was that tipping point for you, or was it something else?
It was Nike. That was the tipping point for business for sure. I mean, that literally allowed for, again, the rapid expansion because no one knew pro level training, you know what I mean? But they knew that swoosh, you know, that was right next to pro level training's name. So the moment they see that pro level training, Nike, something going on, they're like, wait, Nike? They didn't say anything about pro level training, like, wait, Nike? You know, so I have no problem with that. You know, so that allowed us to definitely, you know, go into areas where we're unknown, to be embraced right away because everybody's already wearing the brand. So I would say that was definitely the tipping point, because it just, you know, there weren't many questions asked when I inquired to do something somewhere.
What gave you the confidence as a young Black entrepreneur? I want to emphasize that, as a young Black entrepreneur, to approach Nike and say, I've got this great program. I think that you would be a great partner. What gave you that confidence?
what wouldn't have gave me that confidence, to be honest. By that point, I've already attained and achieved more impossible things than that. You know, still being alive is one of them. You know, so by that time, it was like, this is just a step in the direction of where I already saw myself in business going. And if it wasn't gonna be Nike, I was gonna reach out to somebody else. So they just so happened to be the one that I wanted to be connected with. I wore Nike my whole life. I played on the Nike circuit in AAU. In high school, I was just a Nike person. But I never felt like I needed Nike in order to survive in business or thrive in any way. I'm just like, it would help a whole lot though. You know, so, you know, fortunately, thank God it did. And, you know, my faith in God, to be honest with you, if you want to say there was a thing, that's what it is. It's my foundation. You know what I mean? It's like, if I'm going to do something or pursue something, I'm not going to do it half-heartedly. For what, you know, and expect good results. So if I'm going to pursue something or if I'm going to reach out to somebody, I'm reaching out to them with expectancy, not hope. Oh, I hope it works. No, that's not me. So I'm expecting fully for them to say yes. And if I get a no, so be it. And I move on, or I make an adjustment and go back to them.
So I have a question. What that foundation, you know, your faith, that dedication, where did that come from? You know, I talked to you a little bit before just about your background. You talked about, you know, you just a little engine that keep going. So how did that come about? Like, where did you get that from? And then how do you instill that in like your players? Like, how do you transfer what you learned and how you were raised into the players that you had?
Well, I mean, you just tapped on it, touched on it rather, as far as how I was raised. My parents, you know, fortunately, you know, I grew up in a 2-parent household. I know how uncommon that is in the Black community. You know, I was able to have 2 pastors at that. I'm a PK, I'm a preacher's kid. So, you know, it was 6 of us in the same house. I saw my parents struggle. You know, we grew up in an abandoned house in North Philly, you know, on 33rd Street. And like in between Diamond and Dolphin, that area up there. Right, I was, yeah, right, exactly. I was, exactly, NORF, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was right, exactly. So, you know, I saw my parents, and the house next to us was abandoned. It was a guy named Dirty Leroy that lived next to us. Like, it was a, you know, like it was that environment. And I saw my parents, you know, just scrape and claw, do whatever they had to do. I've told, you know, even students I've spoken to before, how we used to get so hyped when our parents, you know, would come home with these black trash bags full of clothes, right? And we would literally sprint over to them, like they take no more than 2 steps into the door. We clawing through these bags that were, it was clothes donated to us from the church.
Right.
And that was like, I loved it though. You know what I mean? Like that was just life. It was like, all right, that's my Mickey Mouse sweatshirt right there. Oh, that's mine. You know, how hyped it used to be back in the day. And I saw that. And I didn't know at that age that they had to work to get us out of that. But as I got older, I'm like, how we get here when we used to be there? You know, and from time to time they throw out a few, you know, nuggets like to make us appreciate, you know, with their efforts. But it was my parents, man. And then my siblings, not just my parents, but the downline of it. I saw my older sister going hard. She went to college. You know, she was the first out of us to go to college. And saw my older brother, Kevin, my other brother, Eric, you know, they just worked hard and hustled at everything, like at a crazy level. You know, they used to sell vacuums door to door and kill it.
Wow.
You know, yeah, you know, this was in the 90s, you know what I'm saying? And so I'm witnessing all this. I'm going on 52nd Street in West Philly around all these hustlers every day, you know, selling me, hey, my man, they just rolling, you know, a cent on my arm, where they trying to sell me some cologne. Like I'm around all these hustlers 24/7 growing up. It was hard not to have that work ethic as I stepped into my own realm. So it was a community of hustling, you know, with the foundation of my parents. That's definitely what did it.
Okay.
Joe, here's a very serious question. I'm gonna make my very serious question face. You still got it?
Oh, look, man, I better.
Can you still put up 30?
I can put up 40, man.
Oh,
Look.
he's
Hold me to it. Look, I play in the game. I'm training for a game right now. I'll be playing in Cheese's Celebrity Crunch Classic. It's a celebrity game they have every year on April 3rd in New Orleans during the Final Four weekend. So that's coming up in about 3 weeks.
Yep.
You know, so you can hold me to whatever you can hit me up right now and say, what did you have? You know.
No, I'm a watch. I'm watching the game. I'm watching the game. I wish I could be there with you, but I need 37.
30. Okay.
Can you give me 37? I don't need 40. Give me 37. Can you give me 37?
All right. At this point, so whoever's listening, y'all can all hold me to it. I'm gonna go for it then. Look, 37 is how old I am, so I'm gonna go for that.
Y'all heard it here on the Biz Breaks Podcast. Joe Green's gonna put up 37 in the Cheese's Classic in New Orleans, April 3rd.
April 3rd.
April 3rd. And we're gonna
he's being very modest here. He's like on the box of like cheeses, like on the box, like Michael Jordan, the Wheaties. He's like
This is why I brought it up. No, don't do that, Joe. Put it up there. Let the people see it. Let them see it. There you go.
There you go.
There you go.
So, guys, that's the Biz Break Podcast. We got high rollers. We got the power team here. So, I'm looking forward to seeing you put up your numbers, and I'm really, really excited to have you here on the podcast.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. So, we're gonna take a short sponsor break now. Here, you want to drop something on us?
You always want me to drop something, so listen. Kevin, always give a little sprinkle or something.
Give me a little something.
Just a little something right now. So right now, I am meeting with clients. A lot of people's concerns and questions are around the market right now. Things that are going on. We're in like hyperinflation right now. So we're about like 7.5, 7.9%. You're seeing the difference in your shopping. You're seeing it. Those gas prices, will go there because people right now, the memes that are coming out, sidebar from the gas is hilarious.
Yo, that's my date. That's date night. We go to the gas station. this time I'm treating, next time she treating.
Oh man.
You see the meme, the meme gas sugar daddy, like, okay, I'll get you some gas.
Exactly.
But I help people with their finances, creating financial game plans and strategies to make sure that you are on track financially to get to freedom, to get underneath the thumb of debt, where hyperinflation is not hitting your pocket so hard. Because, guys, we have to make sure that we have assets that are growing. Because with hyperinflation, it's not affecting people who have assets as much as people who money is all in cash, okay? Because if you're all in cash right now, you're in the losing game of things because your money's not making money for you. So if you meet with me, I can give you some strategies to help get you some assets and help your money make money for you. And the way that you reach out to me is through Instagram or through Facebook, Nakia Neal, or you can call me at 267-257-3274, or you can email me nykeal@gmail.com.
Thank you for that. So, Joe, man, so you go from, you said you knew since the age of 11 you were going to be an entrepreneur. Obviously, you come from a background of entrepreneurs, people who are out, we call it hustling, but just working to make a living. Everything is right. So working to make a living. And so you knew that was the path that you were going to be on. How did you make the transition from sports, pro-level sports, basketball specifically, into being an entrepreneur? Did you come in with some knowledge of how to start a business and what things you needed to put in place?
No, not at all. I remember the first thing I looked up, I was in Ireland. This was before I applied for the business license. Only for a couple of weeks, I looked up why businesses fail. I remember that was the first thing I looked up. And, for me, I don't like, again, as all of us, I don't like wasting my own time, right? So, and I had a lot of time over there. Like, as a pro athlete, if you're in a foreign country, you don't really mess with them right away, which I didn't right away. I was a loner over there. After our 2 practices, if it wasn't a game day, I was just at my place, you know, in front of a computer. You know, if I wasn't Skyping a family member or something, this was when Skype was big, but you know, this is, you know, then, you know, so I was just researching. So I would just look up why businesses fail, why they don't go past 3 years and things like that. That was all I needed to get started. Because once I saw why this or that company failed, and I also ended up finding out a number of current companies, the names that they used to be under when they first failed, and they came back, refaced themselves, fixed the corrections, and fixed the errors. I was like, this is all I needed to know, so I don't have to do all that. And once I started getting that knowledge, and I remember I was listening to Les Brown. I was listening to Les Brown a whole lot during this time. And this was like 2008 or so. And I'm like,
Les Brown is my uncle.
No, really?
I'm playing.
I'm about to say connect. Look us up. Make that connection, you know what I mean? But I got excited for a second. But I mean, yeah, I was listening to Les Brown a lot and just encouraging myself, you know, just as far as like making that step at some point. Didn't know in what way. I started, 3 different businesses while I was in Europe. I didn't mention that, but before Pro Level Training, there's about 3 or 4 companies I had. One, I started a whole fashion network for just fashion, you know, industry professionals. It was literally like Facebook, but for the fashion industry. I had photographers, event planners, designers, models, all on it just to network with each other and set up gigs and jobs for each other. I had paying members and everything. And it was a whole social network called Glamour Runway. And I was under an alias at the time, just, you know, it was my nickname, Jay Green, right? I knew if they saw this black face and this basketball player, they wouldn't buy into it, right? So by staying under this alias and this logo, man, we got invites to Milan Fashion Week, New York Fashion Week, Philly Fashion Week, all these different fashion weeks. And I was networking like crazy, just, you know, again, FaceTiming and things didn't even exist at the time. Virtual things like this didn't exist, so they didn't care to see my face. You know, they just wanted to see a product, a result. And they saw the social network that was popping. We had over 1,000, you know, members within 6 months. So I had an intern back here. She went to Temple at the time. She was just killing it, telling everybody, you know, come join the network. And the fact that it didn't last was because it wasn't my passion. I enjoy fashion, but I'm not a fashionista or fashionista, whatever you want to call it. It wasn't me. So that went down the dumps. I let it though, because I just didn't have the time to do it as a pro. And but I didn't have much knowledge coming into it outside of those, you know, few failures and what I looked up as far as other businesses failing. That's kind of all I needed though.
Gotcha.
So if it was passion, like why did you start?
Because I thought it was a great idea. So I see myself as a really creative person, and I objectively at that, to where I don't have to be in a certain industry to think of good ideas for that industry. You know, so I can, you know, I'm not in tech directly, but I can I've thought of some amazing ideas that if I contact the right person, it would be an amazing idea for them to create. That's what I should have done for Glamour Runway. I should have contacted somebody for the fashion industry and say, this is a great idea for you to create and maintain. I can create it, but you know, the fact that it's not who I am, it's hard to maintain. So I did it for fun because I'm like, it's a great idea. And I just felt like social networks were kind of coming up. MySpace had just died off. Facebook, right, exactly. MySpace had just died off probably a year or two before that point. Facebook was still just a .edu network to where you could only be a student and be on Facebook. It wasn't open to everybody yet. So I'm like, let me hop in the social network game, you know, and get in there before everybody else does, which ended up happening. You know, all of a sudden, Twitter, I remember at the same time, about a year later, it took off. About a year later, Twitter, but either way, I knew social network was going to be the thing at some point. that's one of the piece of it. So I said, let me try this idea out. You know, it worked out, but then it didn't work out. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's why we have these podcasts, because people need to hear about the things that happened before the thing that made people notable.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So that's good stuff, and we all have those stories.
Mm-hmm.
So, Joe, what's your favorite thing about what you do?
Oh man, it's easy. Just impact. Just having an impact. I was on a call yesterday, and I shared with them a goal that I shared with a couple of friends a few years ago, and told them that my ultimate goal in life is the same, I guess you could say, claim that McDonald's used to have. Used to drive past their marquee, and it said served over 1 billion people. Mm-hmm. That's my goal as well. So whether it be directly, I highly doubt that I would directly serve and impact 1 billion people, right? Unless I'm in the movie industry or something like that. But indirectly, it can happen. And that's my goal. As far as if I go ahead and I speak to a university, or I go and speak to Siemens or an organization, I speak to, let's say, 200 of them, those employees, and 10 of them actually receive it. Mm-hmm. Those 10 go ahead and tell their network of 100 each, something like that. I just indirectly served 1,000 people that way. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's, it's a goal. I love the fact that it's a lofty goal. I much rather have to reach and scrape and claw to get there, as opposed to that's what I heard, aiming too, what was it? A quote, some people aim too high and miss, and others aim too low and hit. That's the problem. I don't want to aim too low and hit and live below my standards. So I'm trying to set a lofty goal and make impact, man. So that's definitely the most enjoyable part, man. It's just having an impact, man. It's so fulfilling.
So the pro-level training camp, explain to the audience who may not know exactly what it is, how it services the community.
Perfect. So with pro-level training, we also offer, through our camps, we offer not just basketball, but track and field, volleyball, and soccer. And as far as the training component, we train every sport in the world. I've trained water polo athletes, junior Olympians, things like that. But through our camps, which is what I love because you get to train more than just one person at a time, we do those 4 components. And the whole objective is to have them come in with a better mindset. It ain't even about the skills, a better mindset, leaving than they came in with, because so many, especially young athletes, honestly, pro as well, will have the skill set, but it's not seen on the floor when the games come around, because they don't have the proper mindset to transfer those skills on into the actual gameplay. And that's all it is. I promise you, it's a mental shift. I'm a smarter player now than I was over 10 years ago as an active player. And my mindset is different. I can do things better now than I did then. I'm not as athletic. I'm still athletic, but I'm not, as I was, in my 20s. But it's like I'm better now. If it was me versus 10 years ago, me, I'm winning right now.
You better. Right.
Exactly right. The goals is different now. But it's like it's a mindset, and I realize that it's so our whole thing is to make sure that young soccer player, that volleyball player, that girl that wants to aspire just to make the high school team. Okay, here's how you do it skill-wise, but at the same time, we're going to sit down in the classroom, which is what we do at camp. We have a classroom IQ building session every single day with our kids, which is different from a lot of camps. We don't want them to just be on the court all day. It's not just about sweating and being conditioned. Yes, that's cute. That's important. We know that. But at the same time, if this is not being built up, if we're not motivating you and teaching you how to set goals properly, which is what we do at the camp, then you won't learn how to translate this over into life. Mm-hmm. And I was talking to athletes, recently, and letting them know this is not about the sport. You know what I mean? Like your teammates are, and your classmates are going to be called coworkers one day. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like your coach is going to be called bosses and managers one day. So, these referees are going to be called officers out in society. So we break things down for them like that, so they can really see the life component of it. Like I said, ultimately making that impact.
Good stuff. So, Joe, this is a Biz Breaks podcast, so we like to give our listeners and our audience tips about how they can move through their entrepreneurial journey. And we like, a lot of times we bring people on, we want them to give a tip in their particular area of interest and influence. So if you could give us one tip, and it's going to be hard because I know you got 1,000, but if you could give us one tip for an entrepreneur or someone who might be replicating what you're doing with the camp, what would it be?
It's not too hard. Pursue fulfillment. And the reason why I say pursue fulfillment is because don't even pursue happiness, in my opinion, because everything's not going to make, you're not going to be happy waking up at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning to execute a certain business goal, but it will be fulfilling to do that because you know that that's getting you somewhere. You ain't gonna be happy about doing it, but you will be fulfilled from it. So I say, if you're able to endure a process as opposed to always trying to enjoy the process, you will be fulfilled by just going that hard and doing whatever it takes for you to do and pursuing fulfillment, as opposed to pursuing happiness or a certain success goal. All those things going to come under, sooner or later, under that fulfilled pursuit. And that's just really what it is. I've learned that over the years. I used to chase happiness and chase a certain successful goal. I'm like, nah, if I'm not being fulfilled every day from the work that I'm putting in, I'm kind of chasing the ghost. I may not get that, but I can be fulfilled every single day. I wake up at 4, I wake up at 4:30, wake up at 5, I'm fulfilled from the jump. I just know already from the start that I'm getting better than any competition or perceived competition that's out there because they're still asleep. So I would tell any entrepreneur, if you pursue fulfillment every day, then you will find, even if you don't know their exact path just yet or exact business just yet, that fulfillment that you're attaining or looking to attain every day is going to lead you right there. Because you're going to find exactly what fills you up inside. And that feeling, is going to lead to happiness. It's going to lead to peace. It's going to lead to that poise that you need amidst the troubled times. So I say, any entrepreneurs, without getting too specific, pursue fulfillment. And that's going to take you exactly where you need to be.
That's a good tip. It's something I've never heard before.
That was a great tip. I wrote that down. I was like,
I see you writing it down. I need you thinking.
I take notes because I can learn from everybody, and that was good. And I can share that out with people that I, train in my business as well. That was good.
I will throw this out there, right? So there's I have a book coming out, so I haven't announced that anywhere. So this is like the first place I'm announcing.
Wait, breaking news. Yeah, that's not good. We got breaking news right here with Biz Breaks Podcast. People, we breaking it first.
So I have a book coming out. It's going to be released early fall, of this year, so September range. But I mean, it's in that, it's complete, but we're doing some things on the back end. But I speak in there about fulfillment and how I had to come to the realization of that because I was pursuing the wrong thing for too long. And just realized nothing was fulfilling me. And that's really what I wanted. It's like even relationships, you don't have to always be happy, but if they fulfill you, you stay in them. You know what I'm saying? Like then happiness, it keeps coming back when you need it. You know what I'm saying? But when you're not fulfilled, that's when they break apart. Mm-hmm. You're not being fulfilled from the other party anymore. And I want fulfillment. Give me that over anything, man. Mm-hmm. All day.
Yeah. That sounds like a conversation I'm going to have later with a certain young lady.
Oh, man.
It's just, we're good. It's just a temperature check. Just temperature check.
That's right.
Or maybe call her, okay, like, listen, tell you. So Joe, I know that you are a parent. I see like the Facebook posts, you and your son, you just look like you have such an amazing relationship and connection and just all the stuff that you do. So talk about your relationship with your son, like being a parent, how that may push you, or the things that you've learned in parenthood that maybe helped you in business, and vice versa?
Man, that's he's everything for me. Like that's my true motivation. It's funny how we talk about our whys and things like that. It's funny how your whys change. You know what I mean? Like you have different whys for different phases, and like just period, for the next, probably 20 years, he's going to be my why, for the next 20-year phase of my life. Until like I see that he's able to, develop his own whys and carry on. And that's when I'm saying, okay, let me shift my why now. But yeah, man, just being a parent has given me new, revitalized just motivation. I know he sees everything I do. He sees everything I do. And with that, it's making me hold myself more accountable for every step that I take. Because, I would hate for him to say, well, why do you do that, Daddy? Or if I'm telling him, yo, you got to work out, man. Well, you're not working out. So I don't even want to have that conversation. So I'm holding myself accountable, saying, okay, let me work out. Let me work out with him. And if I'm pushing him to, he's just turned 9, so he's still learning some new comprehension, new words, and how to read different things. So I'm like, I'm pushing that. Let me read. Let me pick up a book or two. And that's I did a challenge. That kid, I think you know about it. Early in the pandemic, I said I'm going to read 30 books in 30 weeks, right? So I ended up reading 31 books in 29 weeks. And a lot of people don't know, I said that because I was pushing him. I'm talking about pushing him to read every day, and then before we go to sleep, hey, 30, 40 minutes, let's read something, man. So I set a goal for myself, and I also wanted to learn about some new things. So I said, all right, this is all ties in, but I wanted him to see me reading because I know as a parent, that act, it really impacts the suggestions that you make to them. If they see you acting on what you're suggesting, they don't question it.
Right.
So that was my whole thing. In business, I'm the same way. So it's like I have a number of people that I work along with. I don't even like to say people work for me, but I want them to always see what I'm doing before I even suggest it to them. So any marketing strategy, I say, look, this is what I'm doing already. It's working, or this is what I'm trying out right now. It's still in its trial phases. Try it out with me. But I want them to see me doing it first. And I'm the same, I have to have that same mentality in business as I am with a parent. But yeah, Jaden, man, he's everything for me. Like, yeah, that's my why for sure.
I remember you posting the Cheez-It.
Oh yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, he discovered it. He's the one that actually discovered it in Target. He was about three years old when I was on the first box. I was on the box back in 2017, and like what I showed you guys was a recent box from this past year. But he saw it. He said, "Hey, Daddy, you on the orange crackers?" I'm like, "What are you talking about, man?" And so I told him to go find a snack, and then in the aisle, the next aisle or something. So I'm looking at something else. He said, "No, you want an orange?" I'm like, "Come on, stop playing. We gotta go." So he just took off running. I'm like, quick little 3-year-old legs, and he came back with a box. I'm like, I'm thinking in my head, it's probably Scottie Pippen or somebody. You know what I'm saying? Like, it ain't me. Everybody always said it look like Scottie. It's probably Scottie Pippen. So he brought the box back. I'm looking at it like,
whoa.
That's me, and that's kind of how it all started. I didn't even know I was gonna be on the box, but yeah. So Jaden, man, he done jump started a whole lot within me. Never thought this was how I would look at parenting, but it's obviously he's a friend, everything to where it's like, yo, let's connect, man. I run business ideas past him all the time because I know my imagination is limited by statistics in life.
Yes.
He's not there yet. So I throw ideas at him to where if I say, yo, figure out a way to take me to the moon tomorrow, I can guarantee you he'll draw up a whole plan for me. If I ask you, one of you guys that, you're probably, look, I'm not even going to try it. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, it's impossible.
Why you want to go there? That's what you get from adults.
I don't need those questions from you. Like, just draw this up for me.
Right. Without illegal drugs, I don't know what suggestion I can give you.
Exactly. So, that's, again, he has literally helped me develop some good business ideas. We were in the car busting it up, and I'm like, okay, that part makes some sense. The other part is, a little crazy. But yeah, so yeah, being a parent, I love it. I love being a parent, though.
That's good. Good stuff, man.
So how do you get on a Cheez-It box and not know?
It was from
How do you get on a Cheez-It box?
Look, all right. So when I skipped over a few things. So I also was a sports and fitness model and actor. So I did the commercials. When I first stepped away from playing ball, that's what I got right into. I was interning at a couple companies. And I'll let you guys know, this is, we talking entrepreneurship. Yeah. The road wasn't clear. I went through depression. When I first started playing, I'm like, yo, I know I'm more than an athlete, but I don't know in what way, like what's going on. Straight up insecure and depressed, period. And so I'm interning at different companies for free, not making a penny. And I'm like, I need money, but I wanted the knowledge at the same time. And just going through these different things, and also being a model, an actor. I was on Single Ladies on VH1. We went to a for that, and then was on like different commercials, and that which was a dope experience. Meeting like Lauren London and Lisa Ray and all them. But it was just like I was hustling, just straight up hustling, doing whatever I could. Number one, to get $1, and also to get knowledge at the same time. And amidst that hustle, I was just doing random photo shoots for free, just like pro bono, like photographers saying, I need to increase my portfolio with athletes. As a model, I'm like, I need my portfolio increase. I need images. And from that shoot, I became a stock photo, believe it or not. So if you go to buystock.com, and I had all these stock images out there, right? Kellogg's goes, and they told me this, sifts through thousands of images, stock images. They literally told me this, thousands, and they selected mine.
Look at that.
And then after that, we just have an amazing relationship to where, I'm going on playing in my third celebrity game with them. And, again, they just sent this as a gift to me in September, and put Joel Green Team Cheez-Its on there. I'm like, that's dope. So it was like, for me, like I told you guys earlier, like networking is big. So I'm like, I don't want to burn any bridges with anybody. Just never know when you're going to need them. And so I try to maintain relationships. So the moment we touch base with each other, the Kellogg's, I'm like, let's keep talking. And see what happens. So I'm looking to help them with different things if I can in any way. They help me. It's but yeah, that's how the whole Jesus thing happened, man. A lot of people think that I was a part of. No, it was by chance. By God's doing, man. It was crazy.
Well, real fast to touch on, you said that transition from being that pro ball player and then into the hustle spirit. You said I was depressed. Like, how did you get out of that? Because as an entrepreneur, it's not just a straight run to the top. It's like all over the place as you're moving up. So how did you overcome that to who you are? You're very confident, very poised, but at one point in time, you said that wasn't you. So how did you get there? I know it's like a longer story, but just
how
to get out of that to keep going to get to that fulfillment.
It's definitely a longer story, but my path looked like a stock market, zigzag. That's exactly how it looked.
The people, it goes up and down, but it continues to go up. Don't be scared.
Exactly. Over time, when you stick with it, it's going to go back. It's going to go up. And I'm of the same mentality and belief. But yeah, I was a teacher's assistant for 4 years. Again, I did things. I was a personal trainer at Gold's Gym for 2 years. I was interning with performance companies just so I could learn stuff and take it all in. Because I knew I had a company on the side. I had pro level training on the side the whole time. You know what I mean? I started that as soon as I stopped playing. But it wasn't really anything yet. Even when I got partnered, initially with Nike, I said it took off pretty quick. But the first few years was still like, it was cool. It was a great association. And I was doing a whole lot of stuff behind the scenes, but it didn't really come to light until about 2 years to 3 years later. So those first few years, it wasn't like I was getting like money from it. I was getting a great connection and a claim of a connection from it. Like, yeah, I'm associated with, that was really it though. But yeah, the hustle was serious, and I was, I just got married when I stopped playing, you know what I mean? And going through that depression, different insecurities, things like it didn't help, you know what I mean? And that was super rocky early on. And, ultimately ended up, unfortunately leading to divorce. But it was just so many things that, as far as the route of me just recovering and just realizing, like, I know inside that I'm more than the surface is showing. You know what I mean? Like, whether the closest person to you, wife or husband, whatever, is just not believing in you, which I went through that, because they may have met me when I was on high as a ball player, you know what I'm saying? Like, all of a sudden it's like, you're not even hooping no more, So like, you go through that stuff, so that hits you even harder, you know what I mean? And as a man, a black man at that, it's like you're already held to a standard of, within us, on our own, we hold ourselves to a higher standard many times than people on the outside do. And
that's good.
We know how we're looked at. We know exactly how we're looked at. We're looked at as losers, and if we're not perfect, then, you're just a typical black man. You know what I'm saying? Like, if we make one slip up, I knew it. We know that's how we're looked at. So I knew that about myself. I'm like, let me try to be perfect, which is it's a terrible. No one should ever have to feel like they have to be perfect.
Right.
But I put that pressure on myself to try to be that way, and it was a struggle because I'm like, I couldn't reach it, and just so many things, adapting to being domesticated. I was used to moving around and flying here, flying there. I'm like, this is crazy. Yeah, I'm like, can I sit still? And but yeah, it was a heck of a journey. Again, going into education, being a teacher's assistant, again, humbling experience. I'm just being honest with y'all. Like, going from being a pro athlete, I go into an arena and people like, they love me. You want these bright lights, and all of a sudden I'm sitting in the classroom alongside another teacher, like, hey teacher, like, can I do it? You know what I'm saying? And I'm 6'8", so.
So super tall in here in the school.
That's right. But yeah, it was a lot of humbling experiences, but I thank God for every single one of them. And if anybody is listening and they happen to be going through any type of rocky journey, man, like, if you stick with it, I mean, it's really not many ways to put it. But if you keep yourself disciplined and you just stay with what you're capable of doing, and what you're capable of doing is literally what you've already envisioned for yourself. If you stick with it, it's hard to not ultimately succeed at it. It's so hard. Like, it's so easy to fail though when you stop. After that initial failure. And you got to realize, like, failure is just a midpoint. It's not an end point. It's a part of the whole process. Mm-hmm. And, that's one thing I thank God for these failures I had, man. It's like, man, I wouldn't be like you say, you see me as, confident or whatever. Literally, if you can see my matrix coding, you would see a whole lot of failure, defeat, death, all these things that you just were like, okay, I get it. It's a whole lot of cracks and crevices in dude, but I thank God for all that.
Man, the value that you just gave to me, to Nakia, the audience, immeasurable. And I would love to stay on here for hours and hours and hours, and we'll certainly have you back. But I want to move to our next segment. And like I said, Joe, it hurts me that I even have to say this, right? If I thought that we could do this for another 12 hours, I would certainly key it up. But I know you got things to do.
I'll be down.
So what I want to do is we do this thing called fast forward. We're going to ask you 4 questions. Answer them quickly, succinctly, clearly. Ready?
Let's do it.
Now, you read 31 books in 29 days. So this first question should be pretty easy for you or pretty difficult.
He said 29 weeks.
29. There you go.
I said 29 days.
Yeah, I was like,
that's amazing. Right.
That's what I'm going for you. That's your next.
That would be
37
that would be amazing.
I'm sorry. So 31 books in 29 weeks. All right. Give us a book that had a great impact on your entrepreneurial journey.
Oh, just one.
That's why I said it's going to be really easy or really difficult.
5 Levels of Leadership.
Wow, we had that. 5 Levels of Leadership. Great book. That's a John Maxwell book, right?
John Maxwell, yep.
John Maxwell. Yeah, 5 Levels of Leadership. Good book. Give us a tool or a resource that has helped your business tremendously.
I'm sorry, what or resource?
A tool or a resource, something that you use that has helped your business tremendously.
My phone.
Is it an iPhone? Please tell me it's an iPhone.
It's an Android. So right, I'm team Droid. Right. Look, the only reason why I say my phone is because I reached it. My network. That's we know somebody that can take us to the next level. I don't care how high or how low that next level is. You know somebody in that phone book that can help you out.
Good point. Good point. All right. Give us a challenge that you had to overcome that to get to where you are.
Delegation. I tried to do it all on my own and I couldn't. And I kept trying to still do it all on my own and I couldn't. And I tried to do it again on my own and I couldn't.
oh my gosh, is that you?
Look.
Checking it.
Look, I finally had to trust other people that they could do what I can do and they can even do it better. So delegation.
Nakia Neal. This is why she's here.
Right.
This is her podcast. Yes.
That's funny.
Joel, tell us one thing that you wish you'd learned when you were younger that would have helped you in your older life.
Oh, man. One thing I wish I knew when I was younger. Life can always be fun. It's always an angle. It's always another perspective. Life can always be enjoyable.
Life can always be enjoyable.
Even amidst death, as crazy as that sounds. Like there's always another perspective to take. I didn't know that when I was younger. I thought tough times meant it was just a tough time, period. Boom, flat.
Gotcha.
That was good. Hey there.
So last month, in honor of Black History Month, we added a 5th question for the month. I think I'm going to keep that going. No, you said take a time out? You said take
a time out. Time out. So this is Women's History Month.
Oh,
true that.
Good stuff, Nakia Neal. Stand your ground.
So I say you should ask that kid something. Look, I say you put that kid on the hot seat for a second. And,
I'll be here.
I know I'm the guest, but this is Women's History Month. You know what I mean? Like
it's Women's History Month. So in honor of Women's History Month, so we're gonna do 2. Since you're the special guest, and this is Nakia's podcast.
There we go.
Ask 2. Joel, I want you to give me one woman who's had a great impact, living or dead, notable or not.
My mother, Juanita Green. Juanita Green, my mother. No question about it. She's everything. So there's a whole lot of me from her, and it's hard to even say 1 or 2 things because that would be a lie if I say 1 or 2 things. So I don't want to say anything, but I say I am who I am because of her. Obviously my dad as well, but my mom, Juanita Green. In
honor of Women's History Month, Juanita Green, we shout out to you if you're watching.
Love you, mommy.
An incredible resource. Thank you for allowing him to be with us. Nakia Neal, who's your woman?
My woman is one of my mentors in life. Her name is April Teller. So the reason why I'm saying April is because she is somebody who has been very impactful. I met her when I was in behavioral health before transitioning into financial services. And when I took custody of my niece, she was 6. No, she was 5. And I didn't have kids at that point in time. And I was like, okay, it's one thing to be an auntie, like on the weekends and get you fun times. It's another thing to be like mom, auntie. And she gave me some really good tips, strategies. Just like I could call her, just talk to her about what I should do with this. And just she's been such a great example in life. I love the mother that she is to her children, how she's so involved. She's just an awesome grandmom on top of that too. She was like Mrs. Pennsylvania, like just all of these phenomenal things. Like she's just a woman that I look at in such awe, and the way that she does it, keeps it together and makes so much time for other people. She's so giving that I look at that like, she's definitely impacted and still continues to impact my life. So I'm going with April Teller.
April Teller. April, if you're watching, you got a special shout out here from the Biz Breaks Podcast. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep inspiring people. If you knew you were inspiring them, great. If you didn't, you know now. So that's great. Joe, I'm going to clap it up for you. I thank you for being here. Thank you for giving us the transparency and your stories. Before I let you go, I want you to tell people where they can connect with you. If you want them to connect with you, or if they want to connect with the company, how they can do so.
Again, first off, thank you guys for having me on. Definitely appreciate this.
You're coming back, by the way.
Let me know when. But yeah, everybody, you can find me on Instagram, Jay Green PLT. So it's JAY Green PLT, which stands for Pro Level Training. But that's me on IG. On Facebook, you can look up Joel Green, JOEL, Green, just like the color. And Jay Green at Pro Level Training is my email if you ever want to reach out via the company. But again, some great things in store. I'll make sure you guys know things behind the scenes, even before the public. Some amazing things in store. I will say one really quick if I have a, we just connected Pro Level Training. We're partnering up with the American Cancer Society and Coaches versus Cancer. So we're going to put on an event in June in South Jersey called the Pro Level Training Power Hour. It's going to be a dope event. So the whole concept is, we're going to have a lot of community involvement. I hope to get some people out from Philly too. And everyone's going to be able to sign up for an exercise. We're going to have a list of exercises they can do for 1 hour, to raise money. So, if you want to do a spin bike, for an hour, if you want to do battle ropes, you want to shoot. So it's going to be in like a huge gym. It's about 16 baskets in there, and it's going to be spaced on the outside on the grass. So if you want to count your makes, people can donate by how many makes you have at the end of the hour. Donate by how much time you did, duration of time for the battle ropes or whatever exercise you want, box jumps, planks, whatever.
Double that.
It's going to be crazy.
Whatever
you want to do, so it's going to be an intense hour, but a fun hour. We're going to have bounce house type stuff. It's going to be a community event. The Pro Level Training Power Hour, raising money for the American Cancer Society. We're going to have a coach like a Jay Wright out there from Villanova. If one of the Coaches versus Cancer coaches out there to be a part of it. It's going to be an amazing time. At this point, June 25th is the likely date, but I'll keep you up on things like that. But it's going to be some amazing things that we're putting on as a company. Like I told you, something I have coming up in the fall is going to blow people out the water. I won't go into in depth beyond it, just saying, have the book coming out, but it's going to be some exciting things coming up for the future.
I'll be there.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Joel, please send us, every time you get something, please send it to us. We'll get it out to our network to make sure we get people coming out and supporting. You have been an incredible conversation today. We will have you back on. Keep doing what you're doing, man. Keep glowing up. And just want to say to our audience, this is the Biz Breaks Podcast. We're here every Thursday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can catch us on all our social media platforms. Parmesian is my platform. Nakia Neal is her platform. I have an ask today. I'm trying to get to 100 subscribers on our YouTube channel, the Parmesian YouTube channel. So please, I'm asking everybody who's watching this and who will watch it, go to the YouTube channel, Promesian. Look up the name Promesian, Premisien. Like, follow, subscribe, but make sure you subscribe on the new YouTube channel specifically. Trying to get some things done. So we'll see you there. And we'll see you here next Thursday, same time, same channel on the Cosmos Radio Network USA with the Biz Breaks Podcast. Signing off.
Appreciate it.